This story begins by showing us quite strong images of several tragedies that occurred in the same place, a hotel called Paragon, in the abandoned area of Las Vegas, which has been the epitome of supernatural energy for many years. A few seconds later, a live broadcast begins, where a very beautiful girl tells us that today's feat will include jumping from a moving train, and for that, she has brought her very beloved Rick. After this, we see a poorly edited video of a group of friends, and discover that the girl's name is Diane, and she is the leader of a social media program called Creepers Nation. Basically, she, Rick, her friend Vernon, and her friend Cora do quite challenging stunts and stream it all live so their hundreds of fans can be entertained. That's right, as you heard, hundreds, not thousands or millions, since the peak views they have had on their videos are 124 people at a time, but they are not willing to give up. It is a brief narration that tells us that life on the internet is not always easy. Using fake maintenance equipment, they manage to enter an area of the subway that is out of reach of civilians, carrying with them a huge garbage container where they carry all their equipment, in addition to the last member of the group. JD hands them a metal bar so they can force the door. A few seconds later, as the train approaches the curve, the boys jump out and begin running through the tunnels until they reach their goal, a door that has been closed for years. After opening it, they realize that the entire place is covered in graffiti that some would say is disturbing. But it is a Basquiat that in today's era is considered a work of art and could be worth a lot of money. However, since it is impossible to take away an entire wall without damaging it in the process, for now, they can only document everything to see if they can find something more interesting, but they give Vernon a couple of minutes to take plenty of photos. A few minutes later, when they were ready to leave, JD starts hitting the wall with a chisel, and his friends try to stop him as he is about to destroy a work of art, but he does not care about that. He wants the money and nothing more. Rick doesn't plan to tolerate this and attacks his friend since he is breaking the code, but it is JD who owes a large amount of money, and if he doesn't find a way to pay it, he will surely be killed, so the fight breaks out until the team separates him. JD takes a piece of the wall as evidence and promises to come back later for the rest. They are no longer interested in being friends, but just when the boys thought everything was fine, in the distance, you can hear the police approaching. Although they manage to escape from the authorities, when they return home and upload the video, they discover that they only have 82 views, so they are going under, but none of them want to give up their dream of being famous explorers. So Rick shows them a map of the Paragon Hotel, which he had been saving for some time. History says that this hotel is the cradle of paranormal energy, and not only that, they also say that the famous criminal Meyer Lansky hid $300 million there, which have not yet been found. Unfortunately, all the people who went for that money have disappeared, and there is no explanation for what happened to them. But the boys stop listening after Rick mentions $300 million, and they all start thinking about ways to spend that money. While the team reviews the plans, Diane discovers that JD has uploaded a new video, and it is going viral, since he has created his new group, made up of a bunch of lunatics who like to play Russian roulette in front of the camera. An hour before the expedition, the boys are waiting for Diane at the hotel, which is a few kilometers from the abandoned building, but she doesn't show up, and Rick is quite nervous. So Vernon offers her one of his tainted gummies so she can relax. Just then, someone knocks on the door, and he looks very much like he's an undercover cop, so Vernon gets pretty nervous, but it turns out he's part of a news outlet that will be joining them on the expedition. His name is Frank, and he saw Diane's comment online, so he's here to offer coverage for his digital newspaper, if only they can discover something interesting. Although the boys vote no, because Frank really seems to be a cop, the girls are in control, especially after they have been getting intimately involved with them, and they know they have them under control. Once everyone is almost in agreement, the team prepares to get into the van, but it turns out that they are so broke that none of them had enough money to fill the gas tank, so they must take Frank's car to begin the expedition. The first thing they find around the abandoned hotel are quite a few do not enter notices, a prohibited area, and some bars with padlocks that don't cause much trouble. But since all the windows and doors are boarded up, the only way to enter the hotel is through the service tunnels. So it's time for them to demonstrate the value they boast about so much on the internet. Once inside the tunnel, the boys turn on their helmets and begin to move forward, but it turns out that the tunnel is much longer than they thought, and they end up walking for more than 15 minutes until they finally reach a fork, where the tunnel becomes narrower and they will no longer be able to walk, but crawl. This is where an extremely disgusting event happens, since in the distance Diane can hear the screeching of the rats and warns them just a second before to take cover. Out of the darkness comes not one, not two, not even hundreds, but thousands of rats running side by side, causing a huge wave to pass over the kids. And since Cora is terrified, she surely will not survive this. So Frank does everything he can to get ahead and lies on top of her to keep her away from any contact with these disgusting animals. For some strange reason, the rats do not bite them or stay with them. They just pass over them, as if fleeing from something much worse. And the team is unharmed, so now they can continue moving forward. The tension grows with every step. At the end of the tunnel, they reach a service tunnel where they can stand up. There is an entrance to the hotel there, but it is completely covered by furniture and suitcases, so they just have to move them. But that will take at least an hour, and Diane thinks there is another entrance, so she leaves to survey the area. Cora decides to use the pickaxe to cut the chain, and the huge pile of furniture falls over, revealing a direct entrance to the hotel. But no matter how many times they yell at Diane to come back, she doesn't seem to hear them. So they decide to go ahead, since they have worked hard to get into this place, and at first they are not disappointed at all. It's huge and very beautiful, and many of the things appear to be intact. For a moment, the adventure seems to have been worth it. On the other side of the tunnel, Diane has finally found an entrance to the hotel and has begun doing her live broadcast, showing her 73 followers that she is inside the most haunted hotel in the entire nation, and that they will be with her on this journey. Like Diane, Rick also starts a live broadcast, but his greeting to his followers is a little louder, and his scream scares the doves that were on the chandelier, causing it to collapse and almost kill Cora. Back with Diane, she arrives at a concert hall that is lit by moonlight, and in the middle is an antique piano. She cannot help but feel curious to touch it. Unfortunately, after playing a couple of notes, a strange noise seems to be heard above the stairs, and it's definitely not rats. The noise becomes louder, and fear begins to take over her heart. So she decides to start running, but she forgets her flashlight, and going down the stairs in complete darkness, ends up tripping. It is there where we can see a close-up of her face, and behind it there is a white hand with black nails stroking her hair. In Cora's case, she is getting along with Frank and getting to know him a little when we can see that something is spying on them from above, something that is surely not at all happy that they have invaded its house. On the other hand, Vernon is doing his job, taking hundreds and hundreds of photos and documenting everything for the videos. But a few seconds later, he runs into a wooden wall that appears to have claw marks on them, claws that do not correspond to any animal he knows. And soon after, he can feel that he is being watched, so he decides to return to the team. Vernon returns to his friends and shows them the photo of the claws on the wall, so that is a reason to get nervous, but not to abandon the mission. What is important is to find Diane, since she has not answered her calls for a while now. Cora decides to go to the reception table. There surely is a master key that will allow you to open these doors. It's the first thing Diane would have done. So Vernon offers to go with her, but he keeps talking about the claws on the wall, and he has no idea who could have made them. As they approach the reception, they don't notice that one of the lights keeps blinking, and that's not supposed to be happening, since the power to this place was turned off years ago. On one of the desks, Vernon finds an old newspaper that says that the owner of the Paragon murdered his wife, whose body was found with her chest exposed and her heart missing. Although that story is quite chilling, the boys concentrate on getting the master key, but Rick's scream can be heard throughout the hotel since he has stepped on a bear trap that was in a hallway and has hurt his leg. The cut is quite deep and will need a lot of stitches, but for now, they have to improvise, and Frank has some experience having been in the military, so they disinfect the wound with some vodka and put a couple of bandages on him so he can continue. With some duct tape, Rick manages to stand up. Shortly after, they can hear Diane's phone upstairs, so the best thing they can do now is find her and get out of that place. But what they end up finding on the upper floor doesn't make any sense. In the middle of the hotel, there is a giant tree, the largest they have ever seen, and it appears to be completely healthy, ignoring the fact that it has no leaves. But what it does have are hundreds or perhaps thousands of phones hanging from it, perhaps belonging to the people who tried to take something from this place and ended up staying forever. Among the strange thing about seeing all those phones, cameras, and electronic devices, the strangest thing is seeing Diane's phone hanging from there too. After checking the gallery, they discover the last video she recorded, where she was running away from something. But a few seconds later, the battery dies, and they can't see what. The group knows they need real help and should call the police. But apparently, the signal works whenever it pleases, and all they can do now is stick together and keep moving. It is becoming clearer each time that this place holds many secrets. Before they can reach the lobby, JD appears out of nowhere, and Frank pulls out a gun, managing to stop his attack. But one of his companions attacks him from behind with an iron rod. Once Frank is on the ground, JD's new group takes control. But all Rick wants to know is what they did with Diane. Todd, the crazy guy who likes to play roulette, brings them all to their knees and takes their phones to ask them where the money is, and they better be honest, or they'll start a game that not everyone will make out alive. It only takes a few seconds for JD to realize that he was wrong in choosing his new friends. These guys are really crazy, and they don't mind killing for profit, but the bad news is that there is no money, or at least they haven't found anything to indicate that there is. Todd takes Cora hostage and is about to kill her when Frank gets up to distract them for a few seconds, telling them that he is there looking for his wife, who was a reporter and disappeared a few months ago while doing a story about the owner of this hotel. The police have not been helpful. No private investigator dares to enter this place. So when he saw her post on the internet, he knew they could pull it off, and he faked everything about the paper, at least the part about it belonging to him. But Todd doesn't care one bit that he lost his wife. He is here for the money and nothing more, so he goes back to Cora and is about to pull the trigger when she spits in his face. To clean himself, Todd takes out a handkerchief that belonged to Diane, and seeing it, Rick attacks him, but the boy grabs him by the chest and, with a single push, throws him to the floor below through a huge hole that descends to the bottom. The last thing that can be heard from Rick is how his scream becomes weaker and weaker as he falls towards the back of the hotel. After killing Rick, Todd orders Frank to take him to the office, but he refuses and reveals to him that the only copy of the map was held by the boy he just murdered. So now they have no choice but to go down the hole and find Rick's corpse to recover the map, which will show them where the money is. Unfortunately for them, when they find Rick's body, it is on the other side of the hallway, and there is a gaping hole separating them. And the only one who could make a jump like that is Cora, who uses the decorations on the walls to swing and cross to the other side. But when she approaches the body, it turns out that it has been there for a long time, and it is not Rick, but someone else. Unwilling to help her return, Todd takes the rest of the hostages and abandons Cora on the other side of the hole. A few minutes later, as they walk through the hallways, they can hear the cries of a woman coming from room 733. Vernon thinks it's Diane, so they decide to go in to see if she has found the money. But there is only one huge closet in the room, and one of them will have to approach it to open it. Todd sends his right-hand man, who opens the closet without showing fear. But inside, there are only clothes and coats. So nothing strange is happening here, until suddenly, a hand comes out and grabs him by the arm, a woman's hand, which belongs to Beth, the photographer who came with his wife. Frank tries to ask her where Amanda is, but she is very nervous, and a few seconds later, you can hear footsteps of something very heavy walking on the upper floor. It is at this moment where she tells them that this thing is approaching, and they are all going to die. The only thing Todd can think about is preparing for what's coming. So he asks his friend to close the curtains and give him the night vision goggles. That will give them an advantage, by using the darkness to their advantage. But it turns out that they are facing darkness itself, since a few seconds later, they can see JD impaled on the wall with a huge spear through his throat. A second later, Todd can see an eyeless monster moving quickly around the apartment. So he starts shooting everywhere. And when Vernon opens the curtains, he discovers that Beth took one of the bullets to the forehead. At the same time that this happens, we travel with Diane, who wakes up in a very comfortable bed. But around her there are many lit candles, as well as a huge pentagram drawn on the floor. And that's not all. The place seems to be prepared for some kind of ritual, of which she will be a part. So she tries to escape, hitting the door, but it does not give even an inch. While she does that, Cora walks through the corridors and manages to reach room 397, where after opening the lock and entering, it closes with great force and leaves her locked. A few seconds before she panics, someone grabs her leg, and it is Rick, who is unharmed, or so you could say, since he still has the wound on his leg, and she has no explanation for how she survived that fall. Cora is helping him up when suddenly the same footsteps from before can be heard, and Rick tells her in a scared tone to hide immediately and not make any noise. A few seconds later, the door opens, and from under the bed, Rick can see long, completely white feet walking slowly around the room from the closet. Cora also has a view of that thing and must regulate her breathing so as not to attract attention. A few seconds later, the monster can smell Cora's scent and opens the closet, where he finds her sweater hanging on a coat rack, and she manages to hide in the ceiling beams, but she won't last there forever. And Rick decides to lend a hand, attacking the monster from behind, but it grabs him by the neck and throws him away with an ease that lets us see that he has impressive strength. After this, the monster seems to lose interest in him, and he chases Cora to the elevator, but she manages to close the gate and keep him away long enough to activate the mechanism. Cora has no idea what that thing was, but she is very clear that she wants to get out of that place as quickly as possible. So when she leaves the elevator, she starts running in every direction until she comes across a door from which light seems to come out. When she opens it, she realizes that there is a huge surveillance system with many screens, and someone has been spying on them since they arrived. On one of the screens, Cora can see Diane trapped in a room, but the number does not appear on the cameras, so it will not be easy to find her. Todd and his friend are desperate to get out of that place, but no door is opening for them, and they're starting to lose patience. Back with Cora, there are a lot of tapes in the room, so she decides to play one and see what's on it. At first, it seems to be just static, but then the figure of a man is shown, and the first thing he tells us is that a great secret has been revealed to him to channel his dark divinity. This secret was passed on to him by Mr. Lansky, the criminal who hid the 300 million. In Diane's case, she finds a book with a scripture, which helps us give a little context to everything that is happening. Mr. Lansky amassed his fortune through dark magic, and when he realized his time was coming, he passed that gift on to Morgan, the hotel owner, who helped him hide his winnings for a long time. One of the pages talks about a transformation ritual to become something more than just a man, and in the drawings we can see that it is the method to abandon the human form and perhaps become a demon. As Diane reads the pages, we can see Todd, who has finally found what he is looking for: Morgan's office, where the safe is full of money, much more than they could carry, but they are very happy that they will be rich. On the floor is the corpse of a subject who has probably been there for many years, but what catches the boy's attention is that the cavity of his heart is empty and the rats are eating the rest. In the recording that Cora is watching, you can clearly see what Morgan did with his wife. This man stabbed her 100 times and then ate her heart as part of the transformation ritual. Todd's right hand starts to get scared and realizes that the money isn't worth it, so he starts to run away, but as he descends the stairs, he is attacked by the creature and his gun is useless against him. By the time Todd manages to fill a bag with money, the creature is already standing right behind him and, in one swift movement, removes his heart from his chest to devour him. On the last page of the ritual, Diane realizes why she is in this place. It turns out that in order to complete the transformation and receive eternal life, the Beastman must have a union ceremony with a pure soul who wishes to be with him in the fires of hell. This is the only reason she is still alive. In addition to that, on the furniture, there is a white dress, and at that moment, she says out loud that she would rather be dead than carry out such an atrocity. But just at that moment, the monster appears behind her, and we can finally see its face. But before the ritual can take place, they must not have any interruptions, so the beast leaves to finish hunting its friends. But this time, they have an advantage. Cora is in the surveillance room, and is using the radio to contact Vernon and guide them away from that thing. The boys end up reaching the kitchen, where they find a pair of knives to defend themselves, but it turns out that there is only one way out, and the beast is on the other side. So now the only thing they have left is to go up the service elevator or stay there to be devoured. Vernon decides to go ahead, but since the engine is dead, he will have to get on using his bare hands, and he has to hurry because the block they put on the door won't hold forever. When Frank's time comes, he is already halfway there, but he hears the lock on the door being broken, and a few seconds later, he can see the monster climbing up the duct and approaching him. When he only needs one floor to reach the boys, the monster clings to the structure, and Frank yells at Vernon to cut the rope, managing to jump out of the elevator and letting the beast fall into the void, accompanied by the hundreds of kilos that the mechanism weighs. Cora gets on the radio, and they verify that Frank is okay, so they tell him to go up to the penthouse as fast as he can. But on the way, he runs into the tree again, and this time, he can see his wife's phone hanging there. Suddenly, a voice similar to Cora's tells him through the radio that they found his wife on the 9th floor, and he immediately runs there. But what he finds is the worst of his nightmares, since Amanda, the woman he loves so much, is lying on a chair, and her heart is no longer part of her body. Having to deal with this loss, Frank doesn't have much to do for her, so he just gives her a kiss and covers her with his jacket, asking her forgiveness for not being there for her. Then he goes up to meet the guys in the penthouse and listen to everything Cora has to tell them about what's going on in this place. She fills them in on everything that's happening, but through the cameras, they can also see that the thing is still alive, so Vernon and Cora will go after Diane, and he will be in charge of getting revenge for his wife's death. In the next scene, we can see Diane wearing the white dress, after having read all the pages of the ritual and approaching the beast, who caresses her face. But all this turns out to be a trick, since she barely gets a chance when she hits him with the book and tries to take advantage of the fact that the door is open. At the same time that happens, we can see Frank running through the hallways, trying to find the room where they are keeping her locked up, but a few seconds later, he can hear Diane pleading for help, which means that she managed to escape and the beast is close behind her. So he starts running with all his strength towards that place and manages to see how the beast is dragging Diane by the hair, so he tackles it with his whole body and makes sure that they both fall from a great height. The next thing we can see is how the beast ends up impaled on one of the branches of the tree, and its blood runs through the bark until it finally stops moving, and Frank dies with it. After this, Diane is lying on the ground, but a few seconds later, she hears the radio working and Cora on the other side, and the first thing she asks her friends is where Rick is. But even though the boys tell them that he died saving Cora, Diane refuses to accept this and asks where it happened and runs off to check. There, she manages to find him lying on the floor, and although it seems that the hit against the wall ended his life, surprisingly, Rick wakes up and they hug. In the next scene, we can see Diane's edited video, where they reveal everything they experienced, and the fact that they found the money that had been lost for so many years, and now they do have millions of followers, and their video has reached 100 million views in 1 month. Although they couldn't keep a single cent of the former criminals' ill-gotten money, they now have a YouTube channel that needs more content, as people are eager for the next adventure. It is there that Rick decides to reveal to them that he found the bag of money that Todd had stolen and removed it before the police arrived, so now they have enough funds to produce their next masterpiece. The film ends with an aerial view of the boys driving away in the truck, which will now have no shortage of fuel, and heading towards a huge mountain that seems to have a strange storm surrounding it, which for them is one more mystery to solve.